Welcome to my fasting journal. I am on a mission to optimize not only my body, but my mind as well. Over the last few weeks, I've been fasting for a minimum of 48 hours, and I've just upped it this week to a minimum of 72 hours. I am actually just about to cross the 105-hour mark. I decided to up it to 72 hours because last week I hit 96 hours. So I said, okay, I'm ready to face my next challenge within my journey. Why do I fast? I fast because my performance and my efficiency not only increase, but they increase dramatically. I am one to push myself, so to see myself push myself even further is always mind blowing. So this week, I normally do boxing early in the week and gymnastics later in the week, so I only get the faster version of Rob for one of those, but this time I boxed midweek, so I was able to get the fasted version of myself for both, and the proof is always in the pudding. The way I was able to push myself in boxing to extreme exhaustion to the point where I almost couldn't move my body anymore, mind blowing. Gymnastics, I almost did a complete giant. I went much higher than I normally would on any other given day while still continuously pushing myself. When my body is fasted, I feel as though it amplifies all of my resources in my body to go gather food more efficiently. So, what does that mean? I'm thinking sharper, I'm faster, and so much more. So, instead of finally putting myself in a slumber mode and decreasing my abilities once I eat, I take that energy, I take that sharpness and put it into my activities, put it into my personal development, put it into my relationships, and it has been nothing but blissful experiences since starting this journey. So right now I'm trying to figure out how far can I push myself, what is the most optimal thing to eat while I'm fasting, or should I just do just water? So I've been testing out a whole bunch of fastings thus far, and I've noticed that the best fasting for me so far has been water-based liquids. So I do one coffee in the morning, and then I do maybe one or two cold green teas in the afternoon, and then I end it with a hot green tea at night just to give my brain some stimuli besides water to keep my energy levels going without having to willpower it too much. I've done a 7-day water fast and I got through no problem, but after 4 days, 3 4 days, I had to do a lot of willpower, and I do a little too much throughout the day, at least for now, to have to willpower it. Obviously, the more I do it, the more my body adapts to not eating. It will become easier and easier, and that's where I'm in my journey. Eventually, I would love to be able to go 105 hours with just water. However, going 20 plus years of your life eating 3 4 times a day, that's a big ask for yourself in a short amount of time. And I'm honestly loving this progress. I've only upped it to 48 hours just a few months ago. So to already up it to 72 hours and hit 96 hours last week and 105 this week, the progress is snowball affecting right now. I am so proud of myself for continuing this journey. As far as sleep, I am a very light sleeper. If you take a step 100 yards from me, I'm up, active, ready to defend myself. But when I am fasted, especially around the 72-hour mark and on, I go into such a deep sleep that my dreams are so vivid that when I wake up, I feel as though this reality is really the dream, and what I was dreaming was the actual reality. It's always so mind-boggling, the new experiences I feel during fasting. All of the time that goes into consumption, to create the consumption, to eat the consumption, to clean the consumption, now goes into every other area of my life. So I just can't see a reason why not to continue this journey and figure out how I can optimize my performance as a human being. So that's exactly what I'm going to continue to do. I'll see you for next week to see how my body reacted to week 2 of 72 hours minimum. Welcome to week 2 of my 48-hour minimum fast per week. I have just crossed over the 87-hour mark for this week, and let me tell you, I have notes worth mentioning. So last week I didn't eat for over 100 hours, so I tested my limits to see how much I can eat before my next fast without obviously going overboard, but just almost a survival instinct. Every chance I get to eat, mind you, I still have a very busy schedule. So there wasn't that many moments. However, I, had a light breakfast, light lunch, and then a pretty substantial dinner, which is a lot for me because I normally eat a mediocre dinner. And a couple of things. First off, the first meal I had, I was complete. I had half a burger and half a salad. And I was full for the entire weekend off just that alone. And that was my first meal. So everything else that I ate after was solely consciously overeating. And then eventually, so I eventually got to the point where I think this is maybe even day two, Saturday, where my stomach is starting to hurt a little bit, right? And however, I continuously try to eat, try to consume, knowing that my next 40, 72-hour fast is approaching. So let me kind of stack up on food. So I continuously ate, and my stomach started to hurt tremendously to the point where Sunday night comes and I wake up a couple of nights, a couple of times throughout the night because of the pain in my stomach. And then going into my next 72-hour fast, which is this fast that I'm currently on, the first night I had severe heart problems. It was as if someone was stabbing me with a fork continuously. And that lasted for about 6, 7 hours, even going into the next day, which, so this is Monday night, or yeah, going into Tuesday. And it kind of faded. I also want to notate it was a sharp pain, and I am a pretty high pain tolerance type of individual. However, it wasn't anything to where I felt as though I needed to go to the hospital. My perception of it is one, either I had way too much salt. I did have one dinner that had way too much salt and I could taste it. And my taste buds, shall I say, are advancing significantly to where I can taste a lot more specifics within a dish than once before. So I really feel as though it was just too much salt intake. And then also going further than that, I feel as though my body is starting to get accustomed to living a certain way. So altering that, although it was my old normal or, individuals normalized eating 3 times a day, that is starting to be either too much for me. So that was quite fascinating to see. I also noticed because I ate so much that the first day or two, I really wanted to eat. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been very good with not having the hunger sensation. So I'm not quite sure if it's because I got to the point of eating too much or if I got to the point of my stimuli is kind of fading because I did coffee and green tea this week as normal. And that was my thought process while I was going through the first 48 hours. Maybe I just need to stimulate my mind a little different. So maybe next week do a fruit fast. However, as of right now and last night, it kind of faded and I'm back in the normalized state of being okay with going another day. I feel as though I can go another day now, but 2 days ago, I almost thought about breaking it early, even if it was just an extra hour or two. So these are so many great notes worth taking. What I want to do is be very more mindful of the food I eat and maybe not eat as much. I kind of want to test it again to see if it was the amount of food or is what I ate because I didn't eat the best. That salty dinner that I had that was extremely salty, I should have not completed it all the way. However, I'm glad I did because now I can kind of continuously test out diet regimens and figure out what works and what doesn't. So honestly, it was a great experience. This has been the most information that I've received in a while within my fasting journey. So I'm super excited to continue and I'll see you for week 3. Okay, another week of fasting has been completed. I am over the 85-hour mark as we speak. This week was a little different. I did a fruit fast, and it was actually even different than my previous fruit fast, which was just watermelon. This time, I tried to be as creative as possible. So I did plantains, bananas, and watermelon. And as the fast continued, I felt such a surge to want to be more creative. Okay, what more fruit can I eat? Also, I felt as though since fruit was the only thing in my body that the benefits were amplified. It didn't have to work around other food, it's just the fruit. So my body can emphasize on extracting as much benefits from those fruits than otherwise. So what I did was a coffee in the morning around 7, the latest 9 a.m. And then I set a limit that I didn't want to consume anything else besides water until 5. And that actually ended up going to 7. The first night was 7 and the last 2 nights was 8. So as the fast continued, I felt a want to be more creative. So I just had bananas, plantain, and watermelon for the first 2 nights. But yesterday, for some reason, I felt so jubilant to try different fruits. I wanted different fruits. I wanted blueberries. I wanted strawberries. I wanted mangoes. Actually, buying mangoes for the first time in my life. I never really liked mangoes. I actually just started to like mangoes. So to buy mangoes for myself was pretty fascinating to see. Still getting some sweet desserts besides just watermelon and staying hydrated. So instead of drinking water, I'm eating watermelon, which is 98% water. So I'm getting a sweet dessert. I'm stimulating my mind, but also extracting so many benefits. The sleep was phenomenal. The focus was phenomenal as always. I did have a decent gap in my day of non-consumption, so I'm still getting a slight fast, nothing tremendous where I normally do. I did notice that the sleep wasn't as good if I didn't consume, but for what it is, it's still phenomenal. Just because I understand what it feels like to be fasted completely, I know where my sleep levels could be. And although it's still high, I just know it's not as high as it could be. So just having that knowledge can hinder how you see that sleep, but nonetheless the sleep was phenomenal, the focus was phenomenal. I feel my energy levels were natural. When you eat a lot of sugar, you're like super hyper, like ice cream or something of that nature. Well, I felt as though when eating the fruit, I was at that dopamine high, but much more relaxed and controllable than having to be all over the place. I can actually hone that energy in somewhere specific and get things done. I also feel as though the benefits from the fruit can be amplified since that's the only thing in my body. My body can hone in onto those fruits and extract as many benefits as possible. So that was quite fascinating to see. I really felt so good to eat the fruit, knowing that every bite I take, no matter what I'm eating, the benefits are gonna be there and amplify my body continuously to the point where I feel as though I can do this for an entire month. So that might be coming soon, at least for a week. I felt so good to want to be creative with just fruit. I felt so much more hydrated. Drinking water at sometimes can be hard, especially because I like room temperature water. So having to drink cold water is hard. So I need to start to actually honestly have more room temperature water ready so I can drink it. However, another week of fasting for over 72 hours. I am super proud of myself in this journey. I don't know what fruit fast or what water fast or what fast I'm going to do next week, but I'm super excited to continue this journey and push my body and mind to its limit. I'll see you next week. Okay, and just like that, another month of testing out my body's ability has been complete. I am going on the 85-hour mark for this week's fast, and this week's fast I piggybacked off of last week with a fruit fast after 5 o'clock. And this week I did keep coffee in the regimen. However, Tuesday, I was full from the weekend, and also what I'm doing with my metabolism is really pushing it to its limits. I am big on not eating and fasting, so I'm trying to now push my body to fast during the week and then really load up on food on the weekend to train my metabolism to still be able to handle a large influx of consumption, to be able to work on my abs by tightening them to digest quicker and stuff of that nature, genuinely testing out my body in so many different ways. So I kept the coffee in this week's regimen, but I was actually so full from Monday and the weekend that Tuesday morning I didn't need the coffee. And Wednesday I did drink the coffee in the morning, and then Thursday, which was yesterday, I did not drink the coffee, just having a busy schedule. And I really didn't have too much of a problem with that. I did end up eating normally around 6, 7 ish around there, definitely on the later side of the day. So I pretty much was fasted for the beginning of the day, 16 plus hours, and before I had my next meal, before I even broke my fast, besides the Wednesday morning with the 1 cup of coffee I had. Sleep phenomenal. What I really loved about this fruit fast is that it's making me eat the fruit. So I know what it feels like to not eat. I know what it feels like to be vegetarian. I know what it feels like to eat fruit on occasion, but to only eat fruit and to be more creative with my fruit. So I did the avocado dip last time. So I'm getting to the point, okay, how do I make it even better? So this time I added cranberries, I added raisins, I added lemon juice and lemon zest for avocado dip for my plantains. So just being creative with fruit and being able to maximize the benefits with it only being fruit in my body is so fascinating to see how my body react. Digestion is phenomenal, the skin is clear, and although I'm not getting the complete benefits of fasting with just water or just liquids, I'm getting benefits of doing the fruit fast, which is why I'm switching it up here and there just to figure out what works best. How does my body react to certain fast? How does my body react to eating a lot of food on the weekend? So I'm really just in that process of figuring out how to maximize my body, how to manipulate my body in certain areas like watermelon. I've eaten so much more watermelon over these last 2 weeks, which is 98% water anyway. Blueberries, strawberries, there's so many mangoes. I bought my first mangoes ever, and now that's a more consistent. It's just giving me more of a reason to put it in my body. Whereas if I would eat it if it was accessible instead of necessarily actually going out my way to solely eat this bunch of fruit every single day. And it's actually quite fascinating to see that I could do that for a week. I could do that for a month and have no problem. It's almost a cheat code. I've gotten to the point of fasting without anything that eating fruit is almost too easy. It's like I get to eat plantains, bananas, water, blue strawberry. I get to eat so I have the options are endless. Dates, having dates really for the first time as consistently as I am. Dates are delicious. I can't believe fruit fast is even a thing. That should be so normalized, honestly. I'm super excited to continue my journey. I have no idea what I'm gonna do next week. I maybe do a vegetable fast, maybe do a 7 day fruit fast. I'm not quite sure where I'm gonna take this. All I know is I've already committed myself to continuing this body questioning journey that I'm under to see how I'm able to maximize this one body that I get to have. I can't replace none of my organs. I can't replace none of who I am as the individual I am. So I'm here to maximize it and figure out what works specifically for me. So I'm going to continue that journey. Thank you so much for spending your time here with me today to see how fasting has worked for me. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. If you're used to eating 4 or 5, 6 times a day and you want to start fasting, you can't expect yourself to go from 5 times a day to 0 times a day, but you can undoubtedly ask yourself to go down one meal, and then once that becomes comfortable, another meal, and then so forth. Or if you're used to eating every 5 hours, instead of going every 5 hours, go every 4 hours. However you want to look at it, however you want to baby walk it, is what would be necessary to get to your goal. You will never just jump to your goal, and that's with anything in life. It's always steps, there's always a process. You have to be willing to go through the process, and you have to be willing to accept delayed gratification to receive anything of value. So, with that being said, I know you can do it. Enjoy the rest of your day.